pick up the paint like this, you see there's a lot of paint on my brush, and then you can slop it on. Hello and welcome to another episode of me painting again. Oh yeah, we're painting again, and today we've got the plate loaded with colour. There's quite a lot of different colours on this one, this time anyway, because I'm being a bit lazy. I need a fairly dark green, so I'll put some phthalo green on there. There's this old sap green which just about come out the tube. I'm a bit worried about that. And then there's some cerulean blue, some cadmium yellow light, burnt umber, some deep cadmium red, which I'm not sure if I'm going to need it. I might do a little bit, just a little bit, yellow ochre, and some titanium white. And I'm going to do a version of Van Gogh's. Easy for me to say. I always think when I say Van Gogh, I always say it wrong, because it's something like Van Gogh. So instead, I'll just say Vincent. So I'm going to do a version of Vincent's painting of sunflowers. One of them, anyway. There's quite a lot of sunflower paintings that he did. And let's see if we can do one. So I'm going to paint in a bit of a sketch first. A bit of yellow ochre and some burnt sienna. I'm going to use this as my base colour for the central parts of the sunflowers. So sort of like the head of one of the sunflowers is kind of there. So I'm going to use the sunflowers picture that I'm using as a guide, but I'm not going to do it exactly the same. I'll do my own version, but it's good to use the colours and things. And because I'm doing it on this setup, I can change it. Can add another head to it. So we've got like the stem there, got this head here, got another one there. Top there. And then I might, well, I'll draw in the pot and everything first. Before I go crazy, start doing my own designs. Get some of the bit of the sap green, bit of the yellow. And yeah, that sap green is really close to turning. I had another paint in a tube because I first started painting with acrylics. That's how I first started, and I couldn't do it. I really struggled, and I ended up giving up. and then after a while, I thought, let's have another go. But I was using oils then, and I had a bit more of a determination, because it isn't the medium. The medium is just a vehicle for your pigment. It doesn't define your painting. It can make it look a little bit different sometimes when you're using, say, an oil paint, and you can put it on really thick, but using other mediums you can do similar sort of things anyway. So I used to be all about oils. It's because that's where I had a bit of success, and then getting stuff looking alright, I was like, oh, this is the best medium ever. And it's only because I spent a bit of time, determined time, to get my painting to a decent level. Decent-ish anyway. I'm always, you know, as artists, I think we're really hard on ourselves because we always want to get better. As we paint and we get a little, we start to see a little bit of improvement, and then you see someone else's picture and you think, oh, I'm still rubbish. But then it drives you, doesn't it? You want that drive to keep going. Don't give up on your painting, just keep pushing, and eventually you get a bit better, and then a bit better, and a bit better, and a bit better, and then the old version of yourself that used to beat yourself up about not being good enough suddenly looks at the painting and goes, oh, wow, I didn't think I could paint that. I'm surprised I did that. Or you could be like me and go, oh, still not good enough. Still not good enough. I'm not surprised I painted that. That's funny, isn't it? It's funny how we're so hard on ourselves. Anyway, so we'll get some white and get a little bit of the blue, a bit of cerulean blue, a little bit of the red. Just sort of off-white. It's a bit shiny, so that probably didn't look that great. And we got this part of the pot here. Something that I always used to do, and I'm probably still going to be guilty of doing it again, is where you paint something and you paint it like too low on the canvas or too high. Too low or too high on the canvas, and then you end up with like the pot. Cause I think I've done this a bit too narrow. I'm going to widen it a little bit, but you end up with like the pot right hanging off the bottom of the page, and then the flower hanging right up here, or like off the top. Unless you've done it intentionally. That's one of my my problems. Is I don't think about the composition. I just start painting and then I think, oh no. Because the first part, I find, the first part of the painting, it's you're just trying to get it, get the scale and things and where everything is, and then suddenly you can start seeing where everything should be, because you've got more stuff on the page. But until you get to that point, if you just dive in like I do a lot of the time, you can get yourself into trouble. So I'm actually just going to throw in lights when I want to now. I'm not going to. I'm taking away all strictness from my painting today. I'm just going to paint. Just going to paint, have fun with it, enjoy it. Keep using the spray. Make sure we don't let our paints dry out. That's the only medium I tend to use is water. I don't really use anything else. There's all sorts of mediums on the market, but honestly I don't use any of it. Same with oil painting. I started not using any mediums, and other than linseed oil, when if you're doing a lot of layers, but I don't use anything else. We'll leave some of these brush strokes in. So I'm going to get a little bit of yellow ochre in my green. A bit more of the sap green in it, and yellow ochre. You can get this nice sort of dirty green, which which is about right for the leaf. The leaf that hangs out down here. Maybe it needs to be a bit darker. So I can make it darker with a little bit of the cabin red. I think we can go darker than that as well. And the leaf that goes. Nice, quite a nice shape to it. There's a leaf hanging down there as well. So I don't mind my paints mixing a little bit because obviously this would have been painted in oil, and it kind of happens automatically, so it doesn't bother me really. I haven't given up on my oils at all. I just find, like, for space wise at the moment, it's kind of cool doing loads of paintings and not running out of room very quickly. You'll know what I mean. If you paint quite a lot and you're doing a lot of canvases, you soon run out of room. Unless you've got a garage, you can stick them all in. That's what I used to do. Sell a few and then you can start painting more. A little bit light colour. I'm just looking at the colours and throwing some shapes in. I need like a dark green line there. Something I never used to think about is line, because I always used to think about tone, and I never really thought about using line too much. But you'll find a lot of famous painters do use that quite a lot. So my pot's different. It's got a lot more white on it, but it's alright, isn't it? Let me just put in get my other brush, my famous brush. there's a bit of a darker green here. A bit darker than that actually. I'll throw some cadmium red in with my phthalo green. Make a really dark one. Really nice and dark, that is. We've got a stem here. Now I'll have mine going to there. Because I've moved mine a little bit. I've got a leaf here. Okay, so I'm waiting, I'm looking I'm looking at the outside first before I start putting in the yellow, because if I put the yellow in now, the petals, I've got a blue into the petals, but I think if I put the blue in now, I'll probably have a better chance. While I've got this green on my brush that I used for the stem, I might use it for this bit here. I'm going to have that vase shape go like that. That's quite nice actually. I might use this colour just to align this a bit. Bit more on this. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I just added that one there, and now I'm going to shrink it a bit. Oh, that's not bad going. Good start, isn't it? Happy with that. You can get this, the original anyway, you can get it on Google, so you could paint your own if you wanted to have a go. It's quite good fun painting other ones, other people's paintings. You do learn quite a lot. I remember when I first started looking at Van Gogh paintings, and I was amazed at brushstrokes. But the complexities of some of the portraits Really amazing. Just using a burnt sienna and a little bit of red in the colour just to fill these areas in. Just block this in really. Block it in and then blocking it in. Something like that. Don't need to go any further really. Now what I want to do is I can see loads of like little colours in the ground. I might start putting some of them in now. Bit of this yellow ochre. Bit of yellow ochre and burnt sienna. Put some of these in. Some little strokes. Bit of the yellow. Bit of yellow ochre. A dulled burnt sienna. I can even see like touches of blue in there. There's all sorts actually. When you start looking, there's all sorts of colours in there. Just in the floor, on the tablecloth or whatever it is. On the table, it's just, maybe it's just a table just shining all these colours. Okay, we'll leave it like that for now anyway. Quite like what's going on. So I need to block in the background. Just washing my brush. And we need some white. and blue. Bit of yellow as well, I think. Let's see what this looks like on the. It's quite nice. So we can start filling this in. Do the big areas with the bigger brush, and then you can start filling in the other areas with the other smaller brushes. I like the way Van Gogh uses like blocks of colour and then does all these different colours on it, so you get that change. I remember when I tried to copy one of the portraits of his. It was so hard. But it did bring me a little bit of satisfaction that I could do a portrait. I think that's why copying other artists is a good thing, because you can learn from them, and you do find it easier. The paintings are easier because they are paintings. If you're painting something that you haven't painted before, it's harder because it's a painting that's original. It's the first one of that painting. It's not had an artist eye attack it before. That's why it's harder. That's why copying paintings is easier. It's not easy by any means, but it's easier than designing one from scratch. Even Van Gogh was quite meticulous in his designs. If you look at some of the paintings that he did, he marked it out, he did his designs, he did his composition, did it exactly how he wanted to do it. I think we think sometimes that they just grab the paints and just go, but I think there's a lot more work that goes in. I enjoyed that film, the Van Gogh film, where it was all paintings. That was really good, that was. It's a bit of a confusing story. I don't know what's real and what isn't, to be honest. The whole story of Van Gogh is a bit confusing to me. Some people say that he was poor, and then some people say, well, naturally he was financed by his brother and he was quite well off, so there we go. A nice bit of a background colour going on there, so I'll just leave that to dry now, that background colour, and I can start looking at other areas. One thing I want to do using the green and red, I want to get my line across the table. Run my finger along it just to thin it a little bit. Well, that makes a difference, that does. And then you can see a bit more dark there. And Van Gogh was really into his Japanese prints. And when you look at them, you do get an idea of why he did colour the way he did. He learnt a lot from them. Got a bit of a back and forth thing going on here. Don't want to lose that shape. My leaf has come out a little bit more than his. But I'm alright with that. I think it looks quite good. It's looking quite good so far. I'm going to use a little bit of blue to go here. And we're doing a little bit more yellow ochre. I'm going to pull in some brighter colours into these areas. Just while the other bits are drying. Okay, that's looking pretty nice actually. Just put a little bit more dark in this area here. Bring it up to that leaf. Just to get the shape of that leaf really. Burnt sienna and red together. Strengthen that colour a little bit there. We can do the same here and there over here. Like yellow ochre. I find one of the tricks you can do with acrylic, because oils, they're still drying, aren't they, when you're putting your paint on. So you could load a load of paint on here, and then you put this paint on top, and it kind of, you do it light pressured, and it just takes a... Yeah, so what I find you can do when you're adding paint... I was just well into this then, and the postman came. I rang the doorbell, and I was like, oh, I just ran down. Yeah, so what you can do is when you're putting your paint on with acrylic, because oils react differently, because when you're putting your oil paint on, it you're painting over the top, and then some of it mixes with the colour when you put your paint down like that. So what I do is I mix a little bit of the base colour, say this burnt sienna colour, with the colour that you're going to put down, so then it happens like that. It's a bit of a cheating way of doing it, I suppose, just to get that effect. You try and get the similar effect to oils. Because I've painted with oils quite a lot, I know how it feels and how it reacts, so you can kind of do that. Right, let's start working on those heads. And grab some yellow ochre, maybe a little bit of green in it. I'm going to start bringing this head round here. Get a little bit of this. I don't know what it's going to look like. A bit of burnt umber and brown. Put some of this in there. Get that roundedness. So if you want to match Van Gogh's brush strokes when you're doing your copy, you can always use a do it on a bigger page or a big canvas. It's up to you. I've done that before. I did a landscape that was I found out the size and I did the exact same size. I really like that painting as well. There's a tiny bit more red in this bit there. More yellow in the middle. I'm just looking at getting a bit of a lighter colour, maybe a bit of yellow ochre and a bit of yellow in it. Cadmium yellow, yellow ochre. Oh, that's nice. Just so I can do this bit here. And we can round this off. This reminds this head here. It reminds me of one of those. What do they call them? Teddy bear sunflowers. Where I think that's what they're called. I've grown one before. They have like a big round head. Just putting some reds in there. Now when I start using the same colour, I start putting it in other places. It's good to do that. I think this needs to be like there. Making a bit of a dark with the red and green. Bit of a dark there as well. Might use another brush. Just having a look through my brushes. Could do one. This one will probably do it. I want the yellow now. Yellow in with the yellow ochre, I think. Maybe a bit of red. That looks nice. That could be one of the yellows, if you can see that. I need a more of a yellow ochre-y one as well. Bit of red as well. I did take a petal off a sunflower once when I was studying the colour, because I really struggled to get the colour, and then I realised what I was doing is I was going way too bright. Way too bright. Let's see if we can get the just lose some of the paint because it's a bit much for control. See if we can start putting some of the shape in there. I'm just going to sort of block it in to start with. Get some colour in just so I can see if it's the right colour. Yeah, it looks about right, doesn't it? And this one, start putting that one in as well. start getting the shape, and then we can go a little bit more detail. This one's got quite a lot of yellow on it, actually. This does. That's definitely better. It needs a lot more light though on it, and we need a bit more control over our petals. So I'll use a smaller brush. This seems to be alright. I quite like this little brush. So what I'll do is I'll put in the petals more now. And then I can put in the lighter ones afterwards. Just throwing in these indications of petals in there. Have them growing outwards. I think that's worked quite well actually, hanging off that end. That stem, it's worked well for my composition anyway, because it's a little bit wider, so I wanted a bit more width. I've lost a bit of brightness on this, so I'm going to add a bit more. Bit of light. Doing a bit more there. This is now the lighter yellow. Get some of these out. this yellow up here. Something like that. Bit of red. Nice bit of red there. I can put a little bit in that as well. Now we've gone to a smaller brush, I can do a little bit more in here as well. The yellow ochre-y green. Bit of a reddish colour as well. Okay. A little bit of light in this area. Bit of a green there. Just doing that just to shrink that a little bit. I might leave that at that. I'm not going to do too much more detail on that bit. I quite like that. I think I could overdo that. Definitely. A little bit more detail on this bit. Bit of the crimson, I mean not crimson, the burnt umber. Need a bit more warmth there. Bit of red and umber. Bit of white in my colour. I need a bit of a green. Bit of green and yellow ochre. I'm going to capture this bit. get a little bit more paint on this because it's a bit thin on the ground of paint there. Be a bit more confident now. I can afford to be more confident now. It's almost there, isn't it? So we can really slap on the paints, go a little bit thicker. Yeah, so there we go. We've got our version of a Van Gogh or a Vincent. I like to say Vincent. That's what he wanted people to say, didn't they? Because he thought people like me would mess his name up. And that's what I heard anyway. Whether it's true, who knows? It makes sense though, doesn't it? Right, so just look at the whole painting, see if I can make any changes that I think is needed. But there's a bit of a brownish hint there. Yellow there. Something like that. I think other than maybe cleaning this up a little bit here. Doing a little bit of a darker line there. Just scoop that up a little bit. Yeah, I quite like that actually. That's pretty good. It's got a nice look to it. just need a little bit more of the yellow here, just to add those sort of strokes where they go bip bip bip. You can really, you know, pick up the paint like this. You see there's a lot of paint on my brush, and then you can slop it on. Slop it on, you can get these different types of effects, more like an oil effect, that impasto kind of look. And honestly, you don't need a medium to do that. Do it at all. I honestly. Save you money. So there we go, we'll call this one finished now, because I could keep going forever. I keep seeing stuff that I want to add, and then and I might end up losing something. I feel like I want to just add a little bit more yellow into this bit here. Looked better green, didn't it? I'll leave it like that. Okay, so I'm just messing now, really. So I'll just I'll say that like I'm gonna finish. I just want to add a little bit more white there. And a little bit of a sort of reflection. It's kind of a reflection there. In there. And I think now's the time to probably stop. Do that little there. It's nice, that shape. I think we're done. We could go on for too long, like we said. And this video will never end. So, I'm going to call that one finished now. I'm going to put my brush down. Honestly, I'm going to put it down just after I've done this little bit there. Right. The brush is going down now. So there we go, there's my version of a Van Gogh painting using acrylics. I hope you enjoyed it and gave you some ideas of what you could do with your paints. And I'll see you at another one. Cheers, bye.